your butcher and how full that is, you can actually damage the casing on it.
Yeah, because I did some, and of course, you know, they split open.
Now in England,
Talking about.
In England, they refer to these as bangers because it makes that pop sound when the casing gets so full of cod it'll actually pop.
I didn't know that.
So you see, then they'll talk about bangers and mash. And it's a sausage, a natural casing sausage and mashed potatoes.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. I always wondered.
But for a first-time griller, the whole deal is if you're a first-time griller, you don't want to get overwhelmed with what's going on and think I have to know all these techniques and all that good stuff. You can do what's easy and makes you happy, and then you learn from it as you go. So basically, you need to get a nice little sauce or a nice water, get some nice heavy seasoning in here. If you're using some plain broths, you can just put it in like this, and then let them boil and get up to temperature and get that inside nice and cooked. And then you're not having to deal with, is the inside cooked, especially with pork, worrying about if pork is going to be, if I feed my family raw stuff and they're going to be sick after it. That's your whole thing. If you want to grill, you don't want anybody to get sick, which is important.
It helps.
Yes.
So, some people boil these in beer, I know.
Yes, they will. And it's
That has
it's
some
the hops.
flavor.
It's the hops.
Oh, okay.
It'll give this, and a lot of people like to do stout instead of the darker beer because it has more of a hopsy flavor. And that's like what I'm important. This has fennel seed and everything's bagel seasoning and some garlic, salt, pepper, just stuff to get it where it's really, it gives it a nice flavor. It gives it, something that'll cut through. It's not just your ordinary bought at Johnsonville out of the store.
Okay.
And it's just set up. This is how everybody's hot dogs are going to taste. Everybody's brats are going to taste because it's a pre-bought, pre-cooked. You're just going to warm it up. This, you can actually put your own flavor on it. And that's what gets people coming back to your place. It's like making your own barbecue sauces. You can go anywhere and get a Sweet Baby Ray's or some kind of barbecue sauce. But when you learn how to just tweak your own barbecue sauce, people come back for it because it's like, we want to go back to their house and they had that really cool barbecue sauce that last time I was there.
Hey y'all, it's Mr. Patient with Heritage Ways, and I'm here today. Actually, he's here today. Our friend Terry from Iowa. Iowa.
Ireland. He's from Ireland.
He's from Iowa, and they've come over to spend some time with us, and we're going to do a lot of grilling. He does a lot of grilling, and in my mind, for my level of grilling, he's like an expert. So I'm going to be learning a lot from him while he's here as we're doing grilling. And we're going to bring you guys along so that you guys can get some tips and techniques that he knows that he's going to be teaching me. But right now what we're working on is brats. And so explain to them what we're doing with the brats right now.
What we're doing with the brats right now is we're using a natural casing brats. This is what you'll go to your butcher shop. You'll have it behind the case, and they'll have like a beer brat. You may have some flavored brats or just a plain brat. Mm-hmm. Most of it is made out of pork or a pork and chicken. And a lot of people, when they do grilling, they'll, especially if they don't know a lot about grilling, and I like to talk to first-time grillers because that's what really will get you going. First-time griller. Natural casing brats puts you to a whole new level on your grilling without a lot of problems. People will say you can put these natural casing brats on the grill and cook them on the grill. Yes, you can. You really have to watch them. But first-time griller, you don't want anybody to be sick. You want your pork to be at least 165 inside. So what we're doing here is taking a natural casing, just a regular brat, putting them in a pot of boiling water with some nice flavoring. And you can do just about any kind of nice flavor you want to, whatever will pair well with what you like. That's the great thing about grilling. You're putting your flavor on that grill. Right. In this pot particularly, we have everything bagel seasoning. We have some extra granulated garlic. We've got some fennel seed, which has a nice little anise licorice flavor to it that will come out. And then we have some parsley. And what that'll do is these will cook in here. They're going to go ahead and cook the inside. The casing will actually allow that liquid to be drawn inside, so you're going to get a nice meaty, juicy brat.
Mm-hmm.
And then when these are done, we'll allow them to cool just a little bit. Inside's already cooked and hot. When we put them on the grill, we will put them on what's called indirect heat, which we will discuss probably later.
Yeah.
So you're not right over top of the fire. You're not going to burn these casings like you see all the dads got the burnt hot dog on there. These are not going to burn. They're going to have a nice little dark brown char with the grill marks across the top of them, which is what you want for a really pretty presentation.
Well, and that's what happened to me. We did some, here a few weeks ago, we did some, we did some hamburgers and some hot dogs and some brats. And all of my brats, the casings popped open. And what you're telling me is by doing it this way, it keeps that from happening, because the problem I had was I had it on direct heat and the outside was cooking but the inside wasn't cooking, and it expanded it and popped it open, which is not what you want.
Yeah, and that's like with the steaks and stuff like that. A lot of people don't understand you want your meat to room temperature, because if it's just out of the refrigerator, that meat's going to get cold. When you put it on the fire, the outside's going to get hot. That inside is still cold until that heat penetrates it.
Right.
So if you start out at room temperature, everything is on the same plane level. So your heat's going to go through evenly, and that's how you're going to get a nice medium steak or medium rare or well done, whatever you're wanting. It's easier to control that temperature.
So you're pulling the meat out of the refrigerator hours before you actually want to put it on the grill, so that it'll get up to room temperature.
Room temperature, and then at that time, I will also do trimming, because we have some steaks here that we're going to be doing that they're straight from the butcher. They're a steak that we had from a 4-H project, and they still have the hard fat rind on it. So we're going to trim some of that off, because it's not that's not flavor, but it's just it's a little chewier when you're trying to do it. So we're going to trim the hard fat rind off. We'll go ahead and season it. And that way it'll set, it gives it time to soak that seasoning up in there, and then bring it up to room temperature.
Okay.
So as you can see, we're already starting to get a boil going here.
So about how long does it take for these to cook
I'll
through?
probably let them go about 25 minutes or so, and then I'll bring my thermometer. They are still in the pink-white stage right now, which means they're just now starting to get some heat inside of them. So like I said, we'll let them go for about 25 minutes. They're a nice thick brat. And I said, this looks pretty. You can get the prepackaged, already cooked, just going to warm them up on the grill brat. Right. But when you have family over or friends over, having something like that sitting on your hot dog nice and brown and on your hot dog bun, that's just looks cool.
Going the extra mile.
Nice. Yeah. And this way you don't get overwhelmed. You can do some nice stuff. I think too many people, when they grill, especially first-time grillers, they get overwhelmed because they see people doing techniques, and I don't know how to do that technique. I'm going to just wing it, and a lot of times winging it don't wing it really well. So
they usually end up with a broken wing.
Yes. Right now, we've brought the brats up to boil. Inside, we're checking the inside of it to make sure they're cooked. So we're going to flip it up here on the end. As you can see, the brat casing is open here, so that way you don't damage the casing in any way. Stick that in as deep as possible, and as you can see, we're coming up to 200. You at least want chicken and pork to about 165 to 175. So
At least.
Okay. Yeah. What that is to kill the salmonella in the chicken and stuff that you hear. Same way with pork. Pork has different things you can get from eating raw pork. So we want to make sure this is up to a good, healthy temperature. That's where it takes the pressure off the first-time griller. Am I going to make my family sick? Well, no. That's a thick brats. You're sitting right in the middle of that thick brats, and you're showing 198. So as of right now, you could pull this off and cut your bite off and eat it. It's ready to go. But now we're going to make that even happier by putting that on the grill and letting that get a nice little smoky char on the outside, so you have a nice little snap on that casing when you bite it, and it's going to have real pretty brown color, and it's going to get a little bit of smoke infused in it from the charcoal, and bring that flavor that we've already imparted from this into here. Now, since we're not ready to cook yet, and these don't have to be on the grill very long, we'll just leave them sitting here for a few minutes and just let them soak up some of this water, because that's going to bring all that broth flavor that we just made. Just going to make a broth in there, because some of that fat that's been in here will cook out. So you're making a pork broth with what we've got.
Okay.
I mean, if you even want to step it up, you can do a mirepoix with some celery and onions and carrots and throw it in here. It would do the same thing. And then you can actually pull it out, blend it up, and make a chimichurri for it.
All right. We've got the brats. We've boiled them. in the seasoning and everything to actually cook them.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about what we're doing now that we're at the grill.
Now that you're at the grill, as we've discussed before, natural casing brats and hot dogs will burn over direct heat.
Yes, they will.
And you don't want it to look. Charcoal is good for you, but not when it's a hot dog.
Right.
So, what we're going to do, as we learned, as when I showed you about how to cook steaks, we're going to use indirect heat. Once again, we're more baking than we are cooking, because as we know, these are already cooked.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about sitting out here and, oh, am I going to get this done? Am I going to get this done? So what we're doing, we have indirect heat again, which means that charcoal is going to be on this side where the heat is. On the opposite side, there's going to be heat, but nothing that can flare up on us.
Right.
So
Because
now,
everything is dripping.
Yes.
Not on the charcoal.
not on the charcoal.
Okay.
So now, all you do is take your brats, and as you can see, these are nice and they're cooked. You could eat, you could pop one in your mouth and eat it right now.
Right.
But what we want to do is put that nice light brown char on the outside of them. So
Get a little smoky.
little smoke to them. So we're going to put them just off. A nice little line of them across.
They actually smell good already.
You'll start smelling that, the fennel, so you'll kind of get that licorice smell will start coming off of them here in a little bit, and the garlic and everything. And like I said, you're something like this, you're able to put your own flavor on, and then
However you want to season it.
season it.
Okay.
So, and they're not going to be in there very long. All you're trying to do is put color on them. You'll be surprised how fast you're going to see this color come up on them.
And I like it dark. I like a lot of color.
You're going to see, and you're going to see the grill marks. That's what you really like, is the grill marks. Now you also see we have hot dogs in here because the music man loves his hot dog.
Those are uncured
These
hot
are
dogs.
uncured hot dogs. Don't know what was wrong with them to begin with, so they didn't have to cure them. So, and what we did is we just threw them in the brats water after we were done cooking, because your hot dog is already cooked. You can eat this right out of the package.
Yes,
So,
you can.
yes. So
I've experienced that.
we're
not
just
too
going to
bad.
stick them in here for right now until we start getting color, because the brats will take a little bit longer to get color on than what the hot dogs
Well,
will.
look, it's already starting to turn.
There you go.
And
So
we ain't even closed the lid yet.
now we're going to close the lid and just let the smoke and the heat do its magic. We're just going to start moving them over the heat just a little bit. As you see, we're starting to get, as I turn them over, we're starting to get a little brown color on them.
You know, brats are a regional thing. We don't have those typically in Tennessee. Didn't have those in Tennessee.
Yeah, in Iowa we do because, well, let's face it, we have pigs and corn in Iowa. So, now you can do a spritz bottle and spritz them just to get a little moisture in them. Since we have the butter, we're just going to do a little basting of the butter just to get a little tone on them, give a little sheen to them, makes them look pretty.
So now when you talked about spritzing them, what do you normally spritz these with? If you were spritzing.
If I was going to do these, I would probably just get like either an apple juice or raspberry juice, maybe. Something that pairs nicely with the pork. You could even get your flavored sparkling waters, but only fill your bottle halfway full of sparkling water, then fill the rest of it up with plain water. That takes away some of that sparkle, because it will force itself up out of your spritz bottle.